She arrived at the gate like everyone else, ticket in hand, boarding pass scanned, silence thick in the air. Not late, not loud, just next in line. The line was moving smoothly. One by one, passengers disappeared into the jet bridge, the hum of routine travel all around. Then it stopped. The agent raised a hand, not in greeting, not in assistance, but like a barrier, a silent command. "Ma'am," she said flatly, "this is for first-class boarding." A pause, no smile, no apology, just those 6 words. The woman in question? Dana Caldwell. Perfectly dressed, calm, composed, holding a first-class ticket, seat 3A, printed, confirmed, paid, but the agent didn't look down to check. She didn't need to. Her tone wasn't confusion, it wasn't policy, it was certainty. The certainty that Dana, this particular woman, couldn't belong there. Behind Dana, a man in a gray suit muttered something under his breath. 2 women whispered and laughed behind designer sunglasses. The man ahead glanced back but said nothing. Eyes scanned her up and down, waiting to see what she'd do next. As if she was already guilty of something. The gate agent repeated herself. Louder this time. "Ma'am, I said this is for first-class passengers only." Dana stood still. She didn't argue, she didn't step back. She simply held up her boarding pass, now trembling slightly at the edge, her thumb pressing into the corner of the paper. But she wasn't given a chance. A second agent approached. Security followed. It all happened quickly, like someone had pressed a button and turned the temperature in the room down. They told her to step aside. They didn't lower their voices. They didn't shield her from the crowd. They didn't ask questions. And then, as if rehearsed, they put their hands on her arms and dragged her away. No raised voice, no disruption, just a woman in a suit being treated like a problem that needed removal. The gate grew quiet. Then came the phones. Then the flight left, without her. She made a call. Just one. No shouting, no threats. Just a calm voice on the other end of the line, and a decision that would send tremors through executive offices in 3 different countries. Because within 72 hours, what once looked like a record-breaking airline deal vanished. And the people who thought they were just removing a passenger from a plane were about to watch their entire future fly out the window. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from viewers around the world. Dana Caldwell didn't grow up hearing the word CEO at the dinner table. She grew up hearing the heater rattle through another Atlanta winter. Grease-stained overalls hung behind her father's door. A chalkboard eraser sat on the counter like it belonged there, because her mother always came home with white dust on her sleeves. There weren't business magazines on the coffee table. There were overdue bills, grocery lists, dog-eared library books. But there was also strength. There was her father's steady hands, fixing engines for neighbors after hours, never charging if he knew they couldn't afford it. Her mother correcting grammar on student essays long after midnight, red pen flicking like a metronome while Dana did her own homework beside her. She didn't grow up with power. She grew up learning how to stand her ground. In a neighborhood where options felt slim and ceilings felt low, Dana always looked up. She wasn't interested in what she was supposed to be. She was interested in what people said was out of reach, and she had questions. Always. By age 10, she was the only kid in her class who could explain what compound interest was. Not because someone taught her, but because she had overheard her mother crying quietly at the kitchen table over a bank notice, and she wanted to understand why. By high school, she was tutoring other students for cash, not because she needed a new phone or clothes. She gave the money to her parents, quietly, in envelopes. When it came time for college, she didn't have a counselor guiding her through Ivy League applications. But she had drive. And she had results. She got into Stanford, full scholarship, first one in her family. Even there, she felt it, the glances, the doubt. Professors calling on everyone but her. Group projects where her ideas were repeated, louder, later, by someone else and then praised. She didn't yell, she didn't stomp, she just kept showing up. More prepared, more composed, sharper. By 25, she had a business degree and 2 offers from top consulting firms. By 30, she had built a startup from a cramped apartment in Oakland, coding at night, taking investor meetings by day, sometimes with the same 3 outfits rotated on a weekly loop. By 33, that startup was acquired for $40 million. But even with the title, the money, the press, it never got easier. When she walked into boardrooms, people still assumed she was someone's assistant. When she introduced herself as Dana Caldwell, CEO, there was still that flicker of surprise. Always a beat of silence. A quick glance toward the more casually dressed white man standing next to her, as if he must really be the boss. But Dana had learned long ago how to command a room without raising her voice. She didn't have to prove she belonged. She built the table they were sitting at. By 42, Dana was at the helm of Novatech Systems, a rising star in artificial intelligence and sustainable computing, one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the US. Under her leadership, the company had quadrupled in valuation in under 3 years. She didn't broadcast her accomplishments. She didn't chase headlines. She was the kind of woman who stayed 3 steps ahead, took the stairs when the elevator was broken, and never forgot the receptionist's name. Her staff adored her, not out of fear but respect. Her board trusted her judgment. Her partners valued her consistency. And on that day, when she stood at Gate C-17 in Los Angeles, Dana wasn't flying for a vacation. She was traveling to finalize the most critical deal of her company's life. A $5 billion partnership. With the airline she was now being physically removed from. Not because she had done something wrong. Not because she had caused a disturbance. But because she didn't look like what they expected. No one asked her name. No one checked her ticket. No one wondered if maybe, just maybe, they were the ones making the mistake. It was as if all the degrees, all the awards, all the headlines and boardrooms meant nothing when matched up against one thing: her skin. Dana's day had already started early. Calls with legal, last-minute notes from her CFO, and one more check-in with her assistant, confirming the final pitch deck. She kept her look simple but elegant. Navy blazer, black trousers, understated gold earrings. Confidence, not flash. She had flown with this airline before, many times. She was on their platinum tier list. Her profile included preferred meals, seat selections, and flagged her as a VIP traveler. She had personally met the airline's CEO 2 weeks earlier during preliminary meetings. Now she was heading to New York for the signing. This was it. She approached the gate at LAX quietly, ticket in hand, laptop bag slung neatly over her shoulder. She wasn't expecting a red carpet. She just expected respect. There were still a few other first-class passengers behind her, some looking down at their phones, others chatting quietly. But as she stepped forward, the gate agent barely glanced at her before snapping. "This line is for first class." Dana blinked. "It is." She extended her boarding pass again, her voice measured. "Step aside, please." No hesitation, no verification, just dismissal. And not the kind that comes from a mistake, but the kind that carries weight. A tone people know well when they've lived through it more than once. She wasn't being mistaken for someone else. She was being told, without words, that she didn't look like someone who should be there. Behind her, she could feel it, those subtle shifts, the rustle of judgment, the quiet curiosity, the tightening of assumptions. Whispers started. A man in a Patagonia vest furrowed his brow. A woman clutched her designer tote just a little tighter. Dana tried again. "I'm in 3A, you can scan the barcode." But the agent shook her head without even looking down. "Step aside." A second agent walked over, summoned with a look. The two exchanged a glance, and suddenly it wasn't about a ticket anymore. It was about control. And then came the line that made her stomach drop. "You're causing a scene." The crowd's energy shifted again. Now there was tension. Now people pulled out their phones, not to record but to silently judge. Dana didn't raise her voice. Didn't move toward anyone, didn't even frown. But it didn't matter, because seconds later, security arrived. A uniformed guard stood just behind her, lips pressed in a neutral line, as if she were a threat to be managed. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us." "I have a valid first-class ticket." "Check your system." They didn't. No one pulled up her name. No one asked what she did, where she was going, or why she was flying first class. Because none of that mattered in that moment. What they saw was a black woman standing where they thought she didn't belong. And so she was escorted, no, dragged from the gate. Not a private word. Not an apology. Just the sound of heels scraping on tile and the embarrassed silence of strangers watching her walk away. She didn't cry, she didn't shout, she didn't ask why. Because she already knew. She was placed in a holding area, no clear explanation. She asked to speak to a supervisor. It took nearly 30 minutes before anyone returned. When they did, they brought a weak smile and a printed apology voucher for inconvenience. No acknowledgement of the public humiliation. No recognition that she had missed a flight that wasn't optional. It was scheduled around a contract signing involving teams of lawyers, strategists, and executives from 2 countries. And no idea who she was. That part was clear. The airline staff didn't know Dana Caldwell by name. They didn't know she was the CEO of the tech company their executive board had just agreed to merge with. They didn't know the ink was drying on a $5 billion partnership, a deal meant to revolutionize customer experience through real-time data processing, predictive tech, and seamless logistics. They didn't know that she was the mind behind the solution their company had been courting for months. They didn't know that the woman they just humiliated in front of a crowd was the one who could terminate the deal with a single sentence. They didn't know, but they were about to find out. Because Dana Caldwell hadn't built her life by swallowing injustice. She had learned how to wait for the right moment, and this wasn't just a personal insult. It was a professional declaration. They had dragged her away from a gate. She was about to walk away from their contract. Dana Caldwell left the terminal without a word to the press. No social media post, no flurry of tweets, no impassioned thread laying out the injustice for followers to rally behind. That wasn't her style. She had just been humiliated in front of strangers, treated as disposable by staff who didn't think twice. But Dana didn't move through the world begging for acknowledgement. She moved through it expecting accountability, especially from those who had something to lose. She didn't scream. She didn't need to. Instead, she stepped outside, where the city's noise masked the quiet storm in her chest. Her assistant, Taylor, was already texting, frantic, apologizing, asking if she should notify the press team. Dana didn't respond. She opened her phone. One number, no hesitation. It rang once. Then she heard a familiar voice. Dana? It was the chairman of the board. Not a PR manager, not a secretary, not a mid-level executive reading from a script. Dana didn't waste time on people who couldn't make decisions. This wasn't a personal contact. This was a business relationship. But she had leverage, and she knew how to use it. The voice on the other end sounded cheerful, clueless. Everything good for the morning? We've got the conference room at 8. I heard legal finalize the agreement. Dana cut in. Calm. Clear. I won't be there. A pause. Wait. Sorry? Is there? She didn't raise her voice. She just explained what happened, word by word. No anger. Just facts. She described the gate agent's expression. The moment security appeared without cause. The phrase, "You're causing a scene." The silence from bystanders. The shame she wasn't supposed to feel, but felt anyway. And then, after a long breath, she said something that stopped the conversation cold. If this is how your airline treats a black woman in first class, imagine how you treat people who don't have power. There was no stutter on her end, just silence on his. That's when it hit him. Because Dana Caldwell wasn't a face in a brochure. She wasn't a diversity hire. She wasn't lucky to be there. She was the contract. Her company had spent 19 months designing a platform that would save the airline from collapse, optimizing everything from scheduling, fuel use, predictive maintenance, even customer flow at international terminals. Their own executives had praised the system in glowing memos. Finance had projected savings in the hundreds of millions. Environmental compliance teams had finally seen a path forward, and none of it was possible without her firm. More specifically, without her. And now, with one phone call, Dana Caldwell was saying, "We're done." The chairman began stammering, offering apologies, suggesting a formal meeting to address the issue. "We'll fix this, I promise. The agents will be reprimanded. Let me..." Dana didn't raise her voice. "You don't need to fix them." Another pause. "You need to fix your culture." She didn't demand a payout. She didn't threaten headlines. She didn't ask for symbolic change. She gave them what they didn't expect: silence and consequences. By 6 a.m., she had formally withdrawn the agreement. No press release, no public statement, just a quiet call from her legal team confirming the termination clause. The airline scrambled. The CEO was blindsided. The internal team held a crisis call before sunrise. They called her team repeatedly. No answer. That afternoon at an industry event in Manhattan, murmurs began. Did Dana pull the plug? Was it over the incident at LAX? Wait, what incident? By day's end, every senior executive in the transportation sector had heard a version of the story. Some true, some exaggerated. But the core was real. A black woman with more power than they realized had walked away. because of how she was treated by people who assumed she had none. The corporate world thrives on predictability. Contracts, projections, and partnerships are meticulously planned. But when Dana Caldwell withdrew from the $5 billion deal, it sent shockwaves through the industry. The airline's leadership was caught off guard, scrambling to understand how a single incident at the gate could unravel months of negotiations. Within hours, boardrooms buzzed with urgent meetings. Executives questioned their protocols, diversity training, and customer service policies. The incident wasn't just a PR nightmare, it was a glaring indicator of systemic issues. Other companies took note. Tech firms, financial institutions, and global partners began reviewing their own practices, wary of similar fallout. The message was clear. Overlooking inclusivity and respect could have tangible, costly consequences. Dana's silent protest became a catalyst for introspection across industries. Her decision highlighted the importance of genuine inclusivity, not just as a moral imperative, but as a business necessity. The airline's PR team didn't even have time to pour their morning coffee before the damage control meetings began. At first, the company treated it like a minor hiccup. An unfortunate misunderstanding. That's what the internal email called it. No acknowledgement of the deeper issue. No responsibility taken, just language crafted by legal teams to minimize liability and avoid headlines. But it didn't stay quiet for long. The news spread, but not because Dana tweeted about it. She didn't post a video. She didn't run to the press. That wasn't her style. What made the story explode was silence. The silence of a canceled deal. The silence of a board meeting that ended in a single sentence from Dana Caldwell. "This partnership no longer reflects the values of my company." That silence spoke louder than any hashtag could. By midday, the airline's executive team was staring at numbers that made their stomachs drop. A multi-billion-dollar deal evaporated overnight. Not because of bad performance, not because of poor negotiations, because a black woman in a tailored navy blazer had the audacity to stand in a line she paid for. And now the industry was watching. CEOs from other Fortune 500 firms began quietly inquiring. Who was this woman who'd just walked away from $5 billion? What exactly had happened? Could it happen to one of their execs? One of their clients? They weren't concerned about the story because it was unjust. They were concerned because it was expensive. Behind closed doors, internal reviews began. At the airline, heads rolled, not out of principle, but out of panic. The gate agents involved were placed on leave. A vague press statement followed, citing a renewed commitment to diversity and inclusion. But to Dana, it meant little. The incident had already revealed enough. She didn't need apologies. She didn't want headlines. She wanted accountability. And they had just experienced it in the one language corporations understand: financial loss. Meanwhile, across LinkedIn, quiet murmurings turned into loud conversations. Executives shared veiled posts about leadership values. Corporate pages posted stock photos of diversity with meaningless quotes underneath. The kind of corporate theater that looked polished but said nothing. And yet, within the noise, something different began to form. Young professionals, especially black women, started naming Dana as a symbol of something bigger. Not a hero, not a victim, but proof that power, real power, doesn't have to raise its voice. At one marketing firm in Chicago, a team scrapped an entire ad campaign mid-development. "We need to rethink our message," the creative director said. "We've been speaking to white comfort. This is different." Across Silicon Valley, DEI officers who once struggled to get executives to attend a 30-minute meeting suddenly found their inboxes full. "We can't afford a Dana Caldwell moment," one manager was overheard saying. The fear wasn't of public backlash, it was of being exposed. Because Dana's story proved something undeniable. Racism in corporate spaces isn't always loud. It's not always slurs or marches or lawsuits. Sometimes it's a glance, a refusal to check a ticket, a dismissal of dignity, disguised as procedure. And that kind of racism is more dangerous because it lives quietly in the daily operations of professionalism. For the airline, it meant more than a loss of revenue. Investors were calling, shareholders were nervous, media outlets had started circling, and even though Dana hadn't made a statement, journalists were piecing it together from anonymous sources. The chairman of the board, the very man Dana had called the night before, knew what this meant. He had voted to bring Dana's company in because he saw it as the future of air travel. Sustainable, innovative, efficient. But now, he had to answer to stakeholders about why that future was gone. In a confidential board memo, one line stood out. We were given a chance to partner with a visionary, and instead, we dragged her out of a boarding line. Outside the boardroom, public opinion was shifting. Not just in think pieces, but in real ways. Employees at the airline began demanding transparency. Passengers tweeted about their own experiences. Some shared similar moments. Subtle racism that didn't get recorded but stayed with them. A mother who'd been questioned about her child's first-class seat. A professor who'd been double-checked after already boarding. It was no longer just about Dana. It was about every black traveler who'd ever been treated like they didn't belong. And the airline wasn't ready. Because you can fix a policy, you can retrain employees, you can release a shiny new "we're listening" ad. But you can't rewind time and give Dana back her dignity. You can't restore the trust lost in that 2-minute moment of public shaming. And the industry knew it. Behind the scenes, quiet panic had turned into quiet reform. Not because companies wanted to change, but because Dana Caldwell had shown what happens when someone with power, grace, and silence refuses to play the game. She didn't raise her voice, she didn't throw lawsuits or threaten exposure, she just walked away. And with her, $5 billion walked too. Viewers, if you're still watching, let this sink in. Sometimes the strongest statement isn't a headline or a protest. It's a black woman in heels being told to step aside and then choosing to never come back. Dana Caldwell's story didn't end at the boarding gate. It began there. In the weeks following the incident, Dana remained silent publicly. No press conferences, no interviews. But her actions spoke volumes. She redirected her company's resources to support initiatives aimed at combating systemic racism in corporate environments. Scholarships were established for young black women pursuing careers in technology and aviation. Mentorship programs were launched, connecting industry leaders with underrepresented talents. Her company's internal policies underwent rigorous reviews. Diversity and inclusion weren't just buzzwords, they became integral to the company's ethos. Hiring practices were overhauled, ensuring equitable opportunities at every level. Employee training programs were implemented, focusing on unconscious bias and cultural competency. Dana's influence extended beyond her company. Industry peers took notice. Conversations about racial equity in corporate spaces gained momentum. Companies reevaluated their own practices, inspired by Dana's unwavering commitment to justice and equality. Educational institutions invited her to speak, not about the incident, but about resilience, leadership, and the importance of standing firm in one's principles. Students listened intently, many seeing a reflection of their aspirations in her journey. In communities across the nation, Dana's story became a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of grace under pressure, a reminder that dignity cannot be stripped away by prejudice. Dana Caldwell's story inspires us all to advocate for equity, dignity, and justice in every sphere of life. Her fight was never just for herself. It was for every person who has ever been overlooked, dismissed, or held back by the color of their skin. This is a reminder that no matter how high the barriers, the power of one voice, when fueled by determination, can break them down. Let it be a call to action, to stand up, speak out, and demand that we all be treated with the respect we deserve. Years later, a young girl named Maya, inspired by Dana's story, ran for student body president at her school. Facing challenges and opposition, she remembered Dana's poise and determination. Maya won the election and implemented policies ensuring inclusivity and respect for all students. Dana Caldwell's legacy is not defined by a single incident, but by the ripple effects of her response. She transformed adversity into advocacy, setting a precedent for generations to come. If Dana Caldwell's story resonated with you, please subscribe to our channel for more narratives that inspire change. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know where you're watching from. Together, let's continue the conversation and work towards a more equitable future. Top of form, bottom of form.